Who's the best starter Pokemon? Wrong. It's Sobble. What's going on, everybody? My name is Jay, and this is the thehoennbazaar. I got a pretty exciting video for you guys today. We're going to go through this CGC submission that I just got back. I've graded with CGC quite a bit in the past. I've submitted about 2,000 cards with them, and I was one of the early adopters of the CGC grading for Pokemon cards. And I took a really long break, and the reason why is because right before they increased the price of their cards, I made a submission of about 2,000 cards, and 75% of them came back 8.5s. And it just absolutely wrecked me. It wrecked me emotionally, it wrecked me mentally, it wrecked me financially, and I just fell into a depression. I literally left those submissions from CGC in boxes in my hallway for 2 years. I just couldn't bring myself to open the boxes. Not to mention, I was a full-time content creator back then. I streamed on Twitch under the name Ludi. I made some YouTube videos occasionally, but I was definitely most active on Twitch. And I was kind of going through a transition where I got a full-time job and I was coming home exhausted every day. I kind of didn't have the energy as well, but I was literally depressed because of how bad my grades were from CGC. After that, I really had some disdain toward them. I didn't want to submit with them anymore. I didn't want to do business with them anymore. I was really upset. I was gonna get back into collecting again, but I was gonna just strictly grade with PSA. I still do plan on grading quite a bit with PSA, having them be my main grading company, but after CGC upgraded their grading scale and also their standards, I made this submission. So let's start going through the cards in this submission. The very first one is a really special card because it is a CGC slab in a PSA sleeve. It's like putting Pepsi in a Coke cup. But no, I'm just kidding. The reason why this card is actually really special to me is because this is the first hit that my son ever pulled. I bought a Pokemon Go ETB, he opened it up, and this is one of the cards he pulled. He actually pulled quite a few really good cards. He pulled a couple Charizards and he was really excited, but this was his favorite, so I submitted it to CGC and it came back the Gem Mint 10. I also just really like the art. You know, it's obviously a scene from the original Pokemon Go commercial where they're doing the raid battle against Mewtwo before raid battles were a thing, but it also kind of gives me Detective Pikachu vibes, and just the thought of seeing a legendary Pokemon flying in the streets of a big city is just really cool to me. Really neat card, and yeah, we got the 10 on that. Next card I want to go over is a Gem Mint 10 Hisuian Samurott VSTAR. Now, I'm not a huge Samurott fan, but I do think the art on this card is really cool. I also really like the texture. I think the background behind the Samurott is also really neat. One thing you might notice about this card, it's a little different, is it is actually in the Thai language. And let me tell you, I love the Thai language. I think it's so cool looking. The way that it's written and how it kind of looks like it could be Latin or Latin based. There's a lot of letters or symbols that look a lot like Latin letters, but they have these really cool accents to them. I just think it's one of the coolest looking languages there is. One reason why I like the Thai language is because I can't make sense of it phonetically. I don't know how to read it. And so if I have a French card or a German card and I can phonetically read it, but I don't know what the words mean, there's this frustration a little bit that I feel. But with these, I'm not going to try to read it, so I don't get that frustration. Another reason why I really like it is because they have the English card back. Pretty cool having another language card with the English card back. I'm so used to collecting English or Japanese, and the Japanese have that Japanese card back, but this has the English card back, and it's pretty cool. Also, the Thai cards, they're actually printed in Japan, so they have Japanese card print quality, which I think is super neat. Really makes them easy to grade. And most everything in Thai is well centered, really well printed. The textures are awesome. Big fan of the Thai cards. And yeah, we got this Hisuian Samurott in the Gem Mint 10. Now, most of my submission is going to be the Thai language as well. And the reason why is because back when I bought these cards, Japanese cards were just really expensive, and buying from the Thai language was just the cheapest way to get my hands on an official Pokemon card with the art that I wanted. So we've got this Mimikyu VMAX. This is also in a Gem Mint 10 from VMAX Climax. It's a character super rare, and I just love this card. I think it's super cute. I think Acerola taking a nap on Mimikyu, this big fluffy Mimikyu. It's so cool. The character rares are incredible. I think everything that they've done with the character rares and the alt arts are just great. I mean, that kind of started with Cosmic Eclipse with the character rares as well. But yeah, I just love this card. Mimikyu is one of my favorite Pokemon anyway. I really like ghost types quite a bit, and I had a Mimikyu on my team when I played through Sun and Moon for the first time. I just thought it was such a neat Pokemon. And then again, Acerola is just a great trainer. Next card is a single strike Urshifu V. Not one of my favorite cards. The reason I submitted this was because it was just in good condition, and I wanted to submit, you know, the cards that were in the best condition. And we got the 10 on that one as well. I forget the name of the female protagonist from Sword and Shield, but yeah, we got that in Gem Mint 10. Now the next card is a Tinkaton EX from Clayburst. Clayburst is a pretty cool set. I think that's the one. Yeah, I think this is Clayburst as well. This set's the one that has the Iono that everybody wants, but Tinkaton is just such an interesting Pokemon. It's interesting because, like, the Pokemon Company doesn't often show evidence of Pokemon dying. And Tinkaton uses a hammer that's made out of dead Corviknights. Like, Tinkaton literally kills Corviknights and then uses its carcass as a weapon. I think that's just so brutal. Like, Tinkaton kind of freaks me out a little bit. It's just this happy-go-lucky mass murderer. Really freaky Pokemon. I like its design. I think it's cute enough. I'm not a huge fan of its shiny, where it's literally just the hammer that's a different color. I think it'd be cool to have a different colored Tinkaton, but I never used it on my team playing through Scarlet and Violet, but I do like this card quite a bit. I also really like the special rares, how it has like that, you know, kind of that confetti glitter hollow to it, and it's got that texture, and just a really neat looking card. But yeah, we got that one in Gem Mint 10. Next card is going to be a Rocket Zapdos. Now, I actually opened this pack and got it and pulled this card. When I purchased all my tie cards, one of the sellers that was selling their cards actually just gave me a couple free packs of the 25th anniversary cards, and this is one that I pulled from it. Rocket Zapdos as well is just such a cool card. Really like that dark thunderstorm feel to it, and it's also just a really nostalgic card. Looking down and seeing like the Team Rocket logo with the grunt on there, and, you know, Team Rocket's Zapdos. It just brings me back. I remember collecting like the trainers Pokemon cards back in the day, like Blaine's Arcanine and Team Rocket's Mewtwo and all that. But yeah, this card looked like it was in pretty decent condition, so I submitted it and we got the Gem Mint 10. Next card we're going to look at is Rayquaza VMAX from VMAX Climax. Zinnia, I think, is just such a cool trainer. I remember playing through Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire and seeing the Zinnia story arc and thinking how cool she was as a trainer. This card in particular, I'm actually not the biggest fan of it, and I think that's kind of a common sentiment with this card. I think the Rayquaza looks a little goofy, and on top of that, I'm just not a huge fan of the colors. I don't like the aqua or the teal shade that the green has from the Rayquaza, and I also am not a huge fan of like the red and purple background. I think if the Rayquaza was more of a vibrant green or like a shiny Rayquaza or something, that would have been a lot cooler and a lot better looking. But it's still a cool card, and I like how Zinnia's got her back turned and Rayquaza is huge and just kind of towering over everything. But the other two VMAX, or the other two Rayquaza alt arts, I think are just vastly superior to this one. But hey, it's still a cool card, and we got it in a Gem Mint 10. Next card we're going to look at is Single Strike Urshifu VMAX. Now, I'm not going to spend too much time on this card. I am not a huge fan of the gold cards. I think these ones with like the colored border are just pretty ugly. And I also think that Urshifu's kind of a boring Pokemon to me, personally. But it was in good condition, so I submitted it, and we got that 10. Next one is Dedenne. Dedenne's cute. I like pretty much all of the Pikachu clone Pokemon, all of the new generation Pikachus, Plusle and Minun and Emolga and Pachirisu and Dedenne and Togedemaru and Mimikyu. I just think they're all cute. Little electric mice or just mice. This one, I do like the full arts. I like that white background with like the checkerboard pattern behind it, but not a huge fan of the crown. I don't think many people are fans of the crown. This definitely is not the worst looking of the full art EXs, the terrestrialization Pokemon, but we got that in the Gem Mint 10. Next one is Probably my favorite artwork on any recent card. This is just insane. Look at that texture. Look at the light coming down from the surface of the water and hitting the sea floor and just illuminating all of the red plants around this Chi-Yu. And it looks like it's like dusk or something, sun setting, and you've got these yellows coming from it, and man, it's such an epic looking card. Now, this was done by Akira Igawa, and Akira Igawa is just a master at making Pokemon cards look epic. He did the most recent alternate arts or illustration rares for Charizard. I think he did a really good job. I like the one that's coming out in Paldean Fates a lot more than the one that was in Obsidian Flames, and I think he did both of those. But either way, this Chi-Yu is just such an epic looking card, and we got that in the Gem Mint 10. Next card is Darkrai V-Star from VSTAR Universe. Now, I think this is also such a cool artwork. I really like the outer glow that the Darkrai has. Really makes it pop off of the card. Almost like Ken Sugimori style cards were back in the day, where he just drew a Pokemon and overlaid it over a stock image. But this Darkrai is just kind of floating there menacingly, and you can see this beach with sand, and you can see water, and then with the texture you can see kind of the waves and the ripples in the water. But then you've got this here, it's like stardust or sand or something, and it's got a different texture to it. It's just such an epic looking card. I also love that huge full moon in the background, kind of like we have a Moonbreon at home. But this is still such a neat card, and we got that in the Gem Mint 10. Next card we're going to look at is going to be Rainbow Rare Candice. Now, I could definitely make a joke, but I'm sure a lot of other people already have, so I'll leave it to them. I'm not a huge Rainbow Rare fan. Again, I submitted this card because it was in pretty good condition. I thought it had a chance at the pristine label. Still happy that we got it in the Gem Mint grade, but yeah. Candice from Paradigm Trigger, got that in a 10. Next card we're looking at is my definite favorite trainer from Scarlet and Violet. We got Dendra. I think her design is just so cool. It's almost like, in like Gen 5, Pokemon and trainers were just so over-designed. Their designs were so complicated, and they had all these accessories, and Dendra's just so simple. It's like back to the roots. It almost looks like she could have been a trainer in like the first generation or second generation of Pokemon. She's just got her athletic wear on, and then she's got this cool scar above her eye and some gloves, and like that's about it. She doesn't have all these crazy knickknacks and bells and whistles. Yeah, big fan of Dendra. I love this card. I definitely prefer the illustration rare where she's, taking a drink out of the drinking fountain, but this is still a really cool card, and we got that in the 10. All right, now we're about to get into the heat. It's almost like I sorted these cards before the video. I don't know. I can't confirm or deny anything. Those are all allegations. Next card we're looking at is our first pristine. We've got Zeraora VMAX from VSTAR Universe. This is such a cute card. I love how Zeraora is just kind of peaceful looking. Like, it doesn't look angry or anything, but it's definitely still scary with all of these electricity bolts all around it. And I love the texture on it too, where the bolts are all shiny. But then you've also got this little comfy Pachirisu. You got like an Emolga down here sleep into, and you've got Togedemaru here on the left side. It's such a cute artwork. But then at the same time, you're like, man, that Zeraora would mess me up. I think it's a really cute card. Really neat. And we got that in the pristine 10. That pristine gold label just looks so good on this card. I mean, it looks good on pretty much every card, let's not lie. I love CGC's new pristine labels. Now, I'm a big fan of how CGC updated their grading scale. I know a lot of people are upset. A lot of people think that the gem mints are somehow not truly 10s because they used to be 9.5s. But I mean, everybody's favorite grading company, they say the gem mint is 10. It's not like the 10s are different grades from the old 9.5s. It's literally the same grade, it's just a different number. And as a collector, having a 9.5 it's not very satisfying. And the reason why is because having a 9.5 is like an admission of flaw. It's saying, hey, my card's not perfect. There's something wrong with it. That's why it doesn't have the perfect grade of a 10. And so looking at PSA 10s, this is the best grade you can get. You submit a card, you get a 10, you cannot get a better grade than that. But then you flip this card over and you take a really good look. Hold on a second. Is that a white dot on the bottom left? Is there also a white dot on the bottom right? Wait, this isn't a perfect card? Well, then why is it got a 10? It's because 10 is just the best grade you can get. It doesn't necessarily mean that it's a perfect card. Even the pristines, I personally actually like that they got rid of the perfect grade. I know that the perfects were valued a lot more, but BGS holds the market with that, and I think CGC kind of knew their place. And they were like, you know what, let's make it so the best grade that we can give out is still attainable, but it's like an elevated grade from our biggest competition. You know, let's give people a reason to submit to us where they'll get more value than if they submit to our competition. And I just think it was a stroke of genius. I think it was great. I love these pristine labeled. I love how it's embossed. And I think it's really neat that one of the big three decided to make their labels look so cool. Big fan of the new grading scale, big fan of the new labels. I'm not a huge fan of like the black and white ones. I think leaving this blue would have been fine. You know, I did like the old blue labels. I thought they looked good. I like it because it kind of goes with their other, nerd collectibles, the comic books and all that. But these don't look bad. I do like the little hollow CGC on the top left. I think that's pretty neat looking. But those pristine labels, man, they slap. Next card we're going to look at is one of my favorite cards that I got back. We got Friends and Hisui from VSTAR Universe. I love this art. This is done by Kinu Nishimura. And I've always been a fan of full art trainers. One of my favorite cards I ever pulled was a full art Zinnia from Dragon Majesty. I pulled that live streaming on Twitch. And that was way before the full art trainers exploded in popularity. With most full art trainer cards, the first thing I look at is their hands. A lot of artists will draw their hands like super slender and their fingers kind of come to a point and they're very basic looking. But with these hands, it's like super high detail. There's a lot of shading. You can see their knuckles. You can see their fingernails. Like their hands are like in HD. I just think that level of detail is just really neat to have on a Pokemon card, especially one with 4 trainers in it. And I also just love these trainers. Legends Arceus is probably my favorite modern Pokemon game. I think Adaman and Irida and the 2 protagonists just look great. The colors are awesome. Amazing job on this card. And we got that in the pristine 10. This card is so sick. I love this card. The Hisuian Zoroark V-Star. First time I saw Hisuian Zoroark, I was just mind blown. It was so cool seeing its fur just billow like smoke. I think its design is awesome. And then this card just elevates that. Look at all of this smoke around the Zoroark and look at the colors, how it's got like black and gold. Not to mention just how beautiful that is with the CGC pristine label. So I'm a really big advocate for grading. And not necessarily because it makes your cards more valuable or you can flip them, but mostly because I just like the idea that my card is preserved. It can't be damaged. You can shake it around. You can drop it. You're not going to ding the corner. You're not going to hurt the card. And on top of that, with CGC slabs, they're just so clear that it's like holding the card raw in your hand. They don't have some sleeve over it. The card's just beautiful in this slab. This pristine 10 CGC slab. Man, what a beautiful card. Got that in the pristine, baby. Next card we're looking at, literally my second favorite Pokemon. This is such a cute card. Maushold is amazing. First time I saw Maushold, I was playing Scarlet and Violet. I was riding around on my Koraidon and I saw a Tandemaus run up a hill. And I was like, what the heck was that? What in the world did I just see run up a hill and up into a bush? Like, it was tiny. It was like maybe 5 pixels on my screen because it was so far away. So I went and found it. And when I encountered it, I was like, oh my gosh, it's just 2 little mice. And they're so cute. They're so adorable. What are these 2 little mice? And so I caught it and it instantly went on my team. And I was like, man, what's this going to evolve into? Again, I love to play the games blind. I don't like to play games and having spoilers. I love encountering Pokemon for the first time and seeing how it evolves and what it evolves into for the first time. And when it evolved, I was like, now there's 4 of them. I thought it was the cutest thing ever. Maushold's design is just top tier. Again, you know, some Pokemon are just way over designed. They've got too much going on. The first time I really felt that way was with Zekrom and Reshiram. I just thought they were so weird looking. Not to mention all of the Ultra Beasts and the frickin' Necrozma and Guzzlord. Oh, Guzzlord's an Ultra Beast, but some Pokemon just have too much going on. The colors clash, they look crazy. I mean, I like Pokemon where I'm like, yeah, I think I could draw that. And Maushold is just the epitome of just good Pokemon design. It's just a simple mouse. And there's 2 of them, or there's 4 of them. There's 3 of them. I also like how their shinies are... I mean, I'm not against having like subtle shinies. I think how they normally have blue shirts or pants on, and then their shiny is like a faint pink. It's just such a good Pokemon. And this artwork, when I saw this, I had to have one. Next card, we got the Slowking, baby. Slowking, I don't know if there's anybody who hates the Slowpoke line. The Slowpoke line is just iconic. You know, I love him. I love Slowking. I love Slowbro. I love Slowpoke. I remember playing Pokemon Snap back in the day and evolving the Slowpoke by making it stick its tail in the water and, you know, it gets chomped by a Shelder. It's just such a cool Pokemon. And Slowking from Pokemon the movie 2000, you know, with its prophecies, and I love this card. The full art looks great. The crown is pretty hidden. The texture looks awesome. The colors are great. The glitter effect is awesome. Rainbow effect is awesome. And we got that in the pristine 10. Not to mention Slowpoke has the best song out of any Pokemon. The best theme song they've ever written. Next card we got is a pristine Tate and Liza. I picked this one up. This is probably the most, I don't know, I don't want to say unique, but one of these cards is not like the others, and it's this one because it's from the Sun and Moon era. It's a full art trainer. I do, like I said, I love the full art trainers. I love the way that the Sun and Moon era had their full art trainers, like the way the texture is and the way that it looks. This card was pretty cheap, so I picked it up, and then it was also in really good condition, so I submitted it, and we got that pristine grade. Look at all this, like, classic CGC dust all over the card. But yeah, if there's one complaint I have about CGC, it's the amount of dust that is in the box whenever you get your package back. It's ridiculous. Next card we're looking at, ooh, we've got Mismagius. So, I wasn't always a big fan of the Mismagius and Misdreavus line. I always preferred Shuppet and Banette. But this card has given me a new appreciation for the Mismagius line. And I just think it's so neat. Very unlike Pokemon. It looks like a tarot card. It's got, what are these called? The moon statuses. What is it? Stages? The stages of the moon? You know, you've got this really cool pattern all the way around it. It looks almost occult in a way. Really neat card. When I saw this artwork for the first time, I was like, man, I gotta have that card too. They're just pumping out amazing cards. And this is from Triplet Beat. We got it in the pristine 10. Just an absolutely gorgeous card. That's one thing I love, is that, you know, you can maybe not be a huge fan of a certain Pokemon, but then with the Pokemon trading card game, they'll release an artwork where you're like, man, actually that artwork is pretty cool. And it kind of builds this new appreciation for a Pokemon that previously you didn't like quite as much. And that's happened with me a lot. Next card we're going to look at is, surprise, surprise, another pristine. So this Oranguru, I love the colors on it. And this trainer here, I think her name is Sina. I know Sina's been in a couple games and she's had kind of big roles in the games, but for me, she's always been kind of a forgettable character. Really neat to see her on a card with Oranguru. Normally, she's an ice type trainer, so I think it's a little interesting that they gave her a normal type Pokemon. No, I think in the games, she can have an Oranguru. I think after the game or something like that. But either way, really neat card. I like the colors, and you know, it's just another great character rare. The character rares are so cool. And we got that in a pristine 10. Next card we're going to look at is Forretress EX. Now, this one's probably my least favorite of the full art EXs, the terastallized EXs. Forretress, I feel like, is just a Pokemon that's very difficult to make look cool. I don't mind him. I prefer, what's the other one's name? There's Pinecone Fortress, and then there's Ferrothorn. That's the one. I prefer Ferrothorn over Forretress personally. I think he looks a lot cooler. Maybe if they would have had Forretress, like, you know, firing off his cannons or something like that, he could have looked a lot cooler, but he's just there. You know, he spins and he sits. That's about all that Forretress does. But hey, got him in a pristine 10. All right, now I think this is a really underappreciated Pokemon. I submitted this card mainly because I'm like, you know, people don't really submit this Pokemon very often. So maybe there's a collector or two out there looking for cards. Like, you know, who submits Charizards? You know, I don't know anybody who collects it. I don't know anybody who submits it. Personally, I think they could give Charizard a little more exposure. They could maybe put him on a little more cards. It's very rare that we see Charizard in the TCG. But hey, you know, we got Charizard here with Leon. I think it's a really cute art. Leon having fun with his Charizard. They're like sitting down somewhere. This artwork is great. It reminds me a lot of the anime. Reminds me of, there's like a YouTube short with like an elderly Charizard in a village, and this reminds me a lot of that. But yeah, really cool card. I submitted 2 of them and they both got the pristine 10. Next card we're gonna look at is one of my favorites. So Jasmine is absolutely one of my favorite Pokemon trainers. She's a steel type trainer and her cards just always look so good. She has another character rare in Cosmic Eclipse where she's with Steelix, and that's probably one of my favorite Pokemon cards that features a trainer. I love the way that she was drawn. I love the menacing look that Steelix has. I have a couple copies somewhere of that card, but this is also a really good one. I love the colors, kind of that teal aqua color of her dress, and then also Bronzong. They match really well. They're like exploring an ancient ruin and she's trying to decide which way to go, and it just looks so soft and like watercolor and colored pencil, and I just really like it. Really like this card quite a bit. And we got it in the pristine 10. Big fan of Jasmine, big fan of steel types. Bronzong is cool. Another one of those cards where the TCG kind of brings this added appreciation that I previously didn't have. But yeah, Jasmine's one of my favorite trainers for sure. Now, next card we're looking at, we got the Arcanine EX in the pristine 10. This, along with the Gyarados, has to be the best looking terrestrialized full art. Just the colors on this is so cool. I think it really goes well with the white background. The crown is somewhat hidden. He's just looking there like just a good boy. He's just looking like a good boy there. Faithful, dependable. The Gyarados, like I said, also looks really neat. I actually already sold this card, so I gotta ship that out ASAP. Today is the 25th of December. Merry Christmas, everybody. I hope y'all had a happy holidays if you celebrate, and if you don't, I hope you had a good 25th of December. Next card is another great trainer. We've got Arizu. Yeah, she was in Legends Arceus. If you guys haven't played that game, please do. Legends Arceus is just amazing. It's like a breath of fresh air to the Pokemon franchise. Like the only finished Pokemon game. I mean, that's debatable, but it's polished enough to be enjoyable. And they just have new mechanics. They've got a lot of lore and lovable characters and just a vibrant world. Great game. And then Arizu is a great trainer as well. Got a rainbow rare of her. I much prefer the non-rainbow rare. It's funny, I've got a little story. I purchased 2 of the non-rainbow rare, just the regular full art Arizus in Japanese, probably about 6 months ago. And that was when Japanese cards were getting pretty expensive. Like I spent quite a bit on those 2 cards. And man, months and months went by. I never got those cards. The seller just never shipped them from Japan. So I had to cancel the order and I never ended up getting them, but the price on that card plummeted. So if I wanted to pick them up today, I'd probably buy them. I'd probably spend like half the amount of money. Okay, next card I'm going to show is another one that I submitted to. We've got Abomasnow. So I love this card, mainly because I really like Arita cards. I think Arita is such a talented illustrator. I loved seeing just how much progress he's had since like the beginning of Pokemon cards. Like you see his original cards and you know they're cool, but the amount of detail that you see in his most recent ones is just so much more than he used to have. he's grown so much as an artist, and his cards are just incredible. This one's pretty neat. You know, you've got Abomasnow walking a little faster than his trainer and kind of stopping and looking back like, all right, you know, let's wait for you to catch up. He's got his cane. Yeah, I love this card. And the snow, the holographic snow, just really cool. And speaking of Arita, next card we're going to be looking at, oh, you know what? That's actually a couple cards down the pipe. Next card we're looking at is another artist that I really like, Yukamori. We've got the Drapion V Special Art Rare and the Pristine 10. This is another really cool card. So Yukamori's been doing Pokemon cards for quite a bit of time. You probably recognize a lot of the Pokemon cards that have the clay characters, like the clay Pokemon. That's usually Yukamori that does those cards. And you know, this is another one. You've got Drapion and its two little Skorupies here. Reminds me of Legends Arceus. There's this Drapion with like 4 Skorupies surrounding it that you can encounter, and it's really aggressive and it will mess you up. But I really like this card. Got the Drapion playing in the sand with the 2 Skorupies. And we got that in the Pristine 10. Another Pokemon card where it's just like, you know, I'm not a huge fan of Drapion, but that's a cool card. Next card we're going to show is the one that I was talking about with Mitsuhiro Arita. Probably my favorite card from him so far. And that's the Shadow Rider Calyrex VMAX. Now this one is in English. Everything else that we looked at aside from that Mewtwo was in Thai. And this is English. I bought this on TCG Player. When it got here, I was pleasantly surprised that it was in really good condition. And man, the alt art VMAXs just look so cool. It's got that sparkly holofoil to it. And just like the Darkrai, this has that outer glow around the Calyrex and the what's on the tip of my tongue. It's not a Scavalier. Spectrier. It's got the outer glow around Spectrier, and you know, the VMAXs, they're huge, and he's like towering over this house. Just reminds me of like Christmas. You know, you see that person in the window looking up at this giant Calyrex VMAX towering over their house. So well done. And I love the blue color. That everything looks very cold and very winter and very Christmas. I just love this card. So we got that in the Pristine 10. I'm super happy with this grade. I think this is just such a gorgeous slab. The art looks amazing, and then the label just complements it so well. And then speaking of a gorgeous card with the label complementing it, next card I'm going to show you is Rayquaza V alternate art from Evolving Skies. This is also in English. Now, this card's also pretty special to me. I got this card for my birthday this year with my best friend. Me and Kiki, we went to the trading card store here in Las Vegas, Darkside Games, and they've always got singles for sale. And so, you know, for my birthday, I said I wanted some Pokemon cards. So we went there, we looked, and I bought a few. And this was one of them, and I sent it off to get grading, and it got the Pristine 10. I think this is such a gorgeous slab. I think it's just insanely well designed. You've got, you know, a Zinnia with Whismur, and then this huge Rayquaza towering over everything, facing the other direction. This one is a lot less goofy than the VMAX from, what was it, VMAX Climax? Such a beautiful card. I love the shade of blue in the sky behind the Rayquaza. I love the way that the Rayquaza's kind of looking back, facing the opposite direction, got its back turned to the camera. Just such an epic card. So yeah, this card also means quite a bit to me. Really happy with the grade. Insane that both of the English cards that I submitted, or the ones that, you know, that I purchased as singles, both got the Pristine 10. So really happy with that. Now for the last 2 cards, these are probably my favorite cards of the submission. And these ones were not submitted as raw cards. They were actually just sent to be reslabbed. This one because, you know, the new Pristine label is just so gorgeous. And then this one because it was a 9.5 and I wanted it to have that 10. And you'll see why here in a second. So let's look at this one first. This is a Pristine 10 Japanese full art Sableye. Sableye is my absolute favorite Pokemon. I'm obsessed with Sableye. I think he is such a cute little gremlin, always up to no good, eating gems and rocks and stuff, living in caves. I originally started liking Sableye for a couple reasons. The first one is I just thought the dark ghost typing was so cool, how it did not have a weakness back in the day. You know, it wasn't weak to anything. Now, Sableye is not the strongest Pokemon, but he's got really cool abilities and moves. He's got a really good move set. and I always enjoyed using him on my team. He was a little frail, but he just such a cool Pokemon. The second reason why I liked him is because he reminds me a lot of Stitch. I think Lilo and Stitch is like one of the best Disney movies ever, and he's kind of got Stitch vibes to him. But since then, it's grown to be a lot more than just those two reasons. I just love Sableye. I got this card as a gift. I believe it was a Christmas gift from another one of my best friends, Sketch. So Sketch is one of my closest buddies. He lives in Omaha, Nebraska, and back when I used to stream a lot, him and I both streamed Minecraft, and we would play together all the time and kind of got to know each other on Twitch, to the point where I actually moved to Omaha, Nebraska just to live closer to him so we could collab and hang out. And yeah, he gifted me this card. One of his submissions came back and he got a pristine 10 Sableye, and he's like, man, this card belongs to you, man. This is your card. And he gave it to me for Christmas. I also just love the texture on this. I keep showing this like checker pattern spiral in the background. I think it's such an underappreciated card and also an underappreciated Pokemon. Like, there's a lot of people who do love Sableye, but man, I just love this card. One of my favorite cards in my collection, absolutely. And then the last one, this was the 9.5 that I submitted. Now, it actually had a damaged case. It was pretty scratched on the front of it, but we've got the Holo Charizard from Evolutions. Now, if you've opened up a lot of Evolutions like me, you'd know that it is printed horribly. Getting a Gem Mint card from Evolutions is so difficult to do, which is why the Gem Mint prices are still holding pretty strong as compared to like 9s and 8s and all of that. But I had this in a 9.5 and I was like, man, they just updated the standards or updated the scale, so I'm going to submit it and get that 10. What's funny though is if you look at eBay right now, 9.5s are going for about $700 and 10s from CGC are going for like $1,000 sold. It's so funny to me how they both have the same grade, but one sells for $700 and the other sells for $1,000. It's literally the same card and the same grade. Blows my mind. But like I said, most collectors, they want to have that 10. They don't want to have an admission of flaw. You know, if you've got a 9.5, something's wrong with the card. You got a 10, hey man, I got a 10. 1 through 10, that's the biggest number, that's the best grade. And I think that having the two 10s is so smart from CGC. Like, hey, you can get a 10 back, best grade you can get. You know, you're listing it on eBay, it goes up to 10. This is literally the best grade you can get, the best number you can get from CGC. But you get real lucky, you can get a pristine 10. So it's like that middle, right in between BGS and PSA. It's like, you know, if I submit to BGS, 90% of the cards are probably going to get 9.5 or lower. If I submit to PSA, 60% are going to get a 10. You submit to CGC, as long as you pre-grade well, you can get a 100% 10 rate, baby. I literally got a 100% 10 rate because I pre-graded the cards, and some of them were, you know, quote unquote perfect, and some of them had one insignificant flaw, and they all got 10s. I think that's incredible. I'll definitely keep submitting to CGC. I was really happy with this submission. I'm also going to submit to PSA, obviously. I think that it's smart to submit to both. And who knows, maybe one day I'll submit to BGS and try to get a black label. I've never gotten a black label, so we'll have to see about that in the future. But thank you guys so much for watching. I do want to make more videos of different returns, collection videos, maybe some product openings, things like that. Mostly to just kind of help my eBay out, get more exposure on my listings, exposure on my cards. I definitely collect and I sell and flip to collect as well. Like this card, for example, I will never sell this card. This is a card in my personal collection, but you know, a card like this, I'd probably sell. I'm not a huge Charizard guy. I think Blastoise is better personally. But I mean, when you've got a card that's worth $1,000, you know how many Sableyes I could buy with that, man? Well, I'd be crazy not to purchase cards and put them in plastic and then get more money so I can purchase more cards. I just want to have more cards. One of my upcoming videos is definitely going to be, you know, my favorite cards in my collection or something along those lines. Or maybe the most valuable cards in my collection. But I'm just a small fry. I don't really have too much that's super duper expensive or valuable. But I want to get there. I definitely want to have a robust Pokemon card collection. I've got a lot of junk slabs, especially because of CGC and their grading standards back then. Like I've got just piles and piles of 9s and 8.5s. Nothing too crazy, but I do have some bangers, and you'll get to see those in my videos in the future. Anyways, again, thank you guys so much for watching. If you guys want to purchase any of these cards, what is for sale will be on my eBay. So the link for that is in the description. And you can also follow me on Twitter or X and Instagram, because I'm pretty active on there. If you guys want to reach out and get to know me, or got any questions, or you're interested in one of my cards, or interested in maybe selling me some cards, hit me up on my Instagram at thehoennbazaar. Link in the description. Thank you guys again, and Merry Christmas.